Hey, it's Leo. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my July and August wrap-up in a sort of a rapid-fire form. Thank you so much for all of the really kind shout-outs in your videos recently and the fabulous comments and folks doing the Stand With Trans Kids book tag. I would love to especially thank Mason in the Dark for his really kind words in his Booktubers He Loves and Kindness tag, and Martha Jones at the Self-Righteousness channel and the Stand With Trans Kids book tag. Thank you so much to all of you, and you're fabulous. If I've missed anything that you've tagged me in, or if you've done the Stand With Trans Kids book tag and I haven't seen it yet, please let me know. I'm still behind on following all of your fabulous content. The good news is that I have, I think I told you last time that I had shifted my novel's genre, the novel that I'm writing, into fantasy, and that has really kicked my imagination and energy around this book into high gear. And so I've been doing a lot of reading and exploring and thinking, and also TV shows and movies, and just trying to absorb the genre and ponder what I might do with my story and how it really fits nicely within the fantasy genre. So that's very, very exciting. The bad news is then I have gotten a little bit behind, again, as I said, on watching your content. Also been wrestling with some mental health stuff. I'm okay, but it's kind of been comforting to take refuge in some binge watching as well. Sometimes just rough times call for that. I am wearing my t-shirt from my circus school that says "We can't be perfect, so let's just be awesome." I did wind up also DNFing a bunch of books in I think June, July, and August. I've been on a stream of that, or not picking up books that I had planned on. But I did wind up watching all of The Sandman on Netflix by Neil Gaiman, and I got sucked into watching Critical Role on YouTube, which is voice actors who stream their live D&D campaigns. And so I'm in the middle of campaign 3 and not caught up, so please no spoilers, but that has been really, really fun. Have you seen either The Sandman or Critical Role, or do you have any suggestions for fantasy movies, books, or shows that I need to make sure to add to my list? I'd love to hear. Please let me know in the comments below. Also, always looking for recommendations on good ensemble casts, good buddy chemistry, maybe some capers or heists, and always queer literature and all the things. My TBR, as are many of your TBRs, it's huge, never ending, and I love it. So keep sending those recommendations my way, and thank you. I did get through 17 books in the month of July and August, and in honor of my new interest and getting sucked into Critical Role, I am going to do the reviews for each of them in 25 words. Except for the one nonfiction, I'm going to give that a little bit more time, but I'll still be pretty brief about that. So we'll see how quickly I can do 2 months worth of wrap up in this video. With each video, I like to lift up a different nonprofit that's doing good in the world, to give us hope, to help us to find solidarity, and to inspire us to make a positive difference in the world. I'll make a donation, and I encourage you to like, share, follow, or donate as you are inspired. I'm really excited about this video's nonprofit because I found it through the nonfiction book that I'll be talking about shortly. That is Changing Faces, which is the UK's leading charity for everyone with a scar, mark, or condition on their face or body. And they have a lot of services, including skin camouflage service, a support and information line, an online community, peer group chat service, a counseling support program, and workshops for children and families. And what really struck me about this organization was some of their organizing and campaigns about public visibility, and how people with scars or marks or physical differences are presented in the media. I think as us on BookTube, or as readers or lovers of fiction, I think it's really important for us to think about how we portray villains, or how we have seen villains portrayed. Conversely, I think it's also really important for us to think about how heroes are represented. The Changing Faces organization has a campaign called "I Am Not Your Villain," which calls on the film industry to stop using scars, burns, marks, and other visible differences as a shorthand for villainy. The British Film Institute was the first organization to sign up to their campaign, and has committed to stop funding films in which negative characters are depicted through scars or facial difference. So I love that idea, and I love the support that they're providing to folks who have physical differences. And so I'll make a donation to Changing Faces, and I encourage you to check them out. Okay, so the first book that I want to talk about is the nonfiction that I read that references Changing Faces, and that is Disfigured on Fairy Tales, Disability, and Making Space by Amanda Leduc. And this was a fabulous book. It's 235 pages long, so it's very readable. I also listened to it on audio as well, and bought the physical book so that I could go back and highlight several of the pieces that I found really interesting. One of the things that kept coming up over and over in this book that I just kept saying, yes, yes, we've got to pay attention to, is that this not only talked about like individual accessibility or individual changes or an individual fitting in, but about how there are systemic accessibility problems, there are systemic issues with ableism and so forth, and that it kind of looks at all of that. And so I found that really, really helpful. There's also really great conversation in here about how physical disability is used as a punishment or a moral or as a signifier of a villain, so much. So for folks who are interested in understanding more about how to read with a discerning eye towards ableism, or for authors who are looking at how they present their characters, or anybody really, I recommend this book. I did give it 4.5 stars, and I would have given it 5, but there's one comment that I would make regarding it. The author is a white woman who lives in Canada, and she has a really great introduction and describing her privilege and thanking all of the disability advocates that have gone before. She talks about how race plays into how she's able to move through the world, and she honors and references Black and Indigenous people of color and their role in the disability justice movement. But the one thing that I wish she had done is then in her language, I wish that she had been a little bit more mindful about not using darkness as a way to indicate hard or bad times. All right, I had to get up and get this book and mention it again. God's Holy Darkness, which I've referenced before. It's about, spiritual language regarding darkness, but it really just inspired me into new ways that we think about how we use darkness instead of just framing it as like the hard or scary times. That that there is creation is God's work done in holy darkness, for example. So with that having been read recently, then the conversation about the language about darkness in here was a little bit jarring. So my recommendation would be for the next edition that that be kind of examined a little bit more closely, but highly recommend this book. Okay, you can see why I couldn't do that review in 25 words or less, because I just had too much to say. But anyway, the rest of the books, the next 16, are all fantasy books that I read in the months of July and August. And to pay homage to my recent plunging into Critical Role, I will do these reviews in 25 words. If you have a question about the 25 words, you'll have to check out Critical Role or ask me in the comments below. In no particular order, I read The Golden Compass by Philip Pullman. Plucky young girl protagonist, middle grade adventure, good world building, characters, and twist. May read the next one. No urgent need for next story. 4 stars. A Snake Falls to Earth by Darcy Littlebadger. Fun, dual perspective story between our world and the world of spirits. Clever way to explore environmental issues and indigenous stories. Interesting characters, 4.5 stars. I might have counted that wrong. Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. Violent prophecies, political machinations, some queer relationships. Inspired by pre-Columbian civilizations, multiple POV and interesting magic systems. Loved the disreputable sea captain, 4 stars. I better quit counting on my fingers, and you'll just have to trust me that it's kind of close. The Round House by Louise Erdrich, which I buddy read with That's So Poe, and I definitely recommend you check out her review. I'll link Shannon's video on that below. Tragic story of violence against women, trauma, and thwarted justice on the reservation. Tone is mediated by POV. Teen boy detective fixated on boobs, 4 stars. Raybearer by Jordan Ifueko. Intriguing YA fantasy. Excellent Afrofuturist world building. Strong, young female protagonist on adventure with high stakes. Good twist on romantic expectations, satisfying resolution, 4 stars. A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. 1968 fantasy story of one guy going around having wizard adventures, mostly with other men. With underlying significance, not my cup of tea. 3.5 stars. Guards by Terry Pratchett. Definitely recommend you see the wrap-up for this was read at the Terry Pratchett read-along, Discworld Readathon. And go check out Katya with Katya and Scott at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot and Kevy at Say Kevy and Rosie at Rosie Cockshut. They have a great conversation about it that's more than 25 words long. Terry Pratchett Gold. Goofy characters, great plot, dragons and dungeons, dwarves and clever despots. Romance, Lost Heirs and The City Watch. Loved it, 5 stars. Stormfront by Jim Butcher, The Dresden Files #1. Urban fantasy, classic hardened private eye, but a wizard. Vampires, fairies, the mob, and murder. Enjoyable characters and plot. I'll continue the series, 4 stars. Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. I'm torn. Science fantasy with lesbian necromancers in space. Locked room murder mystery. Political intrigue. I really enjoyed it, but I hated the end. 4 stars. Rise of Empire and Heir of Navron by Michael J. Sullivan. Second and third in the trilogy. I'll do them both in one review. Compulsively read both books. Fabulous fantasy adventure. Great plotting. Loved buddies Royce and Hadrian and many other characters. The ending was incredibly satisfying, 5 stars. Legends and Lattes, a novel of high fantasy and low stakes by Travis Baldree. Fun, queer slice of life fantasy. Terrific world building, interesting story, wonderful characters, especially loved the Dire Cat and Carpenter. Building community and found family, 5 stars. The Loophole by Naz Katoub. Young gay Muslim coming of age. Hilarious drunken genie. Great characters. Profound exploration of Muslim faith, family, and friendship. Adventures around the world. Satisfying ending. 5 stars. The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axio. Korean folktale retelling. Love for community. Fantasy. Romance. Neglectful gods. The underworld. Dragons. Incredible world building. Strong women. Great characters, story, and ending. 5 stars. Artemis Fowl by Owen Colfer. Middle grade crime caper in fantasy world with tech. Preteen genius and bodyguard versus resourceful kidnapped fairy and other magical folk. Fun and clever, 4 stars. A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan, The Memoirs of Lady Trent #1. Historical fantasy with dragons. Smart protagonist defying gender expectations. Adventures to foreign lands. A scene that bummed me out. Fun mystery and resolution, 4 stars. Well, that's everything. So far in September, I don't think I've gotten very far. I'm in the middle of 2 books, and hopefully we'll do some more reading here soon. Also plan to be doing a lot more outlining and writing and prepping for NaNoWriMo, and like I said, I'm really excited about the direction my novel is going. I may wind up doing fewer videos. I had been doing once a week before I recently dropped off a little bit, so we'll see, but please stay tuned. I look forward to continuing the conversation in the comments below. I'm sending you wishes for hope, love, courage, and joy. Bye!